videos who are not like old Japanese movies with the dubbing.
Yeah, it's synced a little.
Yeah, and it's like, that's not what they're saying. Or whatever. Well, I guess that's a bad example because you obviously know. Well, you can even see it. Yeah, it's like that, how it goes. But anyway, yeah, Jason, we're up. We're live, bro. Thanks for being here. Cheers, man.
Cheers, dude.
So, oh, yeah, I guess it's time. Should you introduce yourself or so? I usually don't like doing introductions and shit like that, but if
I can do my like formal introduction. It's like, you know, my networking thing, you know.
You can just give like a quick background so people just know that who you are, I guess. You don't have to give them the full deep dive because we'll get into all that bullshit. But
all right. Jason Bielski. I'm a PhD student at Virginia Tech, studying entomology.
Nice.
That's the big one, you know. That's my big one.
We can go from there. CrossFitter
for almost 2 years.
Nice.
Don't have much under my belt other than that.
Okay, that's fine. But but for those who are listening and watching, like that's how Jason and I know each other through CrossFit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, linked up, started throwing down. Jason's got really serious into it now, I guess. Basically taking a full deep dive, right?
Deep dive. I drank the Kool-Aid, as one could say.
Man. So, should we go back and just give him like what got you into CrossFit? Like maybe we'll go there.
Yeah, sure.
Or even with your PhD too, like why did you start? And maybe for people who don't know what entomology is too.
Okay, well, we'll roll it back a little.
Okay, yeah.
So entomology is the study of insects, like pretty basically. And I kind of got into that in Pennsylvania when I was doing my undergrad. And my one professor kind of gave me a research opportunity to study the invasive insect, the spotted lanternfly. I was like, okay, why not? Like, it's an opportunity to study something, get some research, maybe a publication. That'd be kind of cool to get in my undergrad. So I did that, went off to a conference and won like the top prize for my presentation. So
okay.
Okay,
fancy.
It's like an undergrad, like award-winning thing. Like that's pretty good.
Sure.
So then after I did that, I worked in like agricultural research for a little bit. Did a lot more entomology, more research on that same insect, the spotted lanternfly, and kind of one thing led to another. And I met my advisor now at Virginia Tech. He offered me a full ride and a stipend as like a research assistant. So I make like $27K a year as a student, and then my like tuition is covered. I've got to pay like, you know, other little things here and there, but it's pretty much a full ride to Virginia Tech. I started as a master studying this management of spotted lanternfly. Mm-hmm. And then after like 2 years of that, I converted to a PhD. So I'm like in the middle of that, about like a year and a half away from finishing out the PhD. So then I'll be Dr. Jason Bielski, hopefully eventually.
No big deal.
So about like halfway into the master's program, I like started getting a little, well, not halfway into the master. It was about 2 years into the program in general. I started getting like super burnt out, like, and like really no energy. My relationship wasn't doing too hot. I was like, I think I need to like start exercising again, maybe get like more routine structure in my life. And I happened to live like literally a quarter block away from the CrossFit gym in Radford. So I was like, okay, I used to do CrossFit like a little bit when I was younger. I'll get into that again, maybe give it a shot. I went and pretty much started right away. And it was like 3 days a week and 4 or 5 days a week. And I was like, man, I'm feeling like mentally clear, like physically great. My energy level was good. My sleeping was good. Like I felt like I was clearing out my brain a little bit. But I was like still drinking, and I kind of picked up drinking really heavily in my undergrad. Like had a little bit of trouble like in like with the law a little bit. And then kind of had a moment where I was like, I need to like really straighten things out. So that was like the moment I was like, all right, I'm going to start hitting the gym really hard and make this something to like channel some of this like negative energy I have. And like one thing led to another, and I started just going more and more. It's like instead of 5 days a week, I would put in like some extra time on like Tuesdays, Thursdays, and
nice.
And then like my relationship like ended. My fiance and I for like 7 years had been together, and we broke up. I was like, okay, well, I'm single now. I have nothing else to do. I'm gonna start like really hitting the gym like really hard. And this was around the time we had a competition coming up. So I was like, I'm gonna start training, get ready for this competition.
Is this Greensboro?
Yeah, the War of the Wads.
Yeah.
So Steve and I, my partner.
Shout out Steve.
Shout out Steve.
Oh yeah, dude, Steve, bro.
But he and I, we did scaled in the like work or the competition, but ended up placing 5th. So I was like, wow, okay. Like 5th is pretty good for my first competition. Like,
yeah.
Like, I'm pretty happy with that. And I was like, I definitely could have done the RX version and placed at least like in the bottom 10%.
Sure.
Like, and I was like, okay, I'm done doing scaled workout, like scaled competitions. I'm not doing that anymore. And I'm going to spend the next year like going hard and trying to be like an RX level competitive athlete. And so that's kind of where I'm like at halfway in, like a year, almost half of a year away from that, of like going really freaking hard at it. And also trying to finish the PhD and kind of juggle those things around. So it's kind of a little background.
Yeah, dude, that's a lot, man. So let's go back a little bit, dude. And so you said you picked up drinking pretty heavily in your undergrad?
Yeah.
I mean, is this just cause you were partying, or was this a college thing? Or
it was partying, college. You know, one of the best and worst advices a professor gave me, it was an ecology professor, and he was a hoot and a half, but he would always say, write drunk and edit sober. And I think I took that like write the bulk of the paper, just get like, maybe have a drink, have another drink, and keep going until you either can't write anymore or you fall asleep, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then the next day or two, while you're sober, edit it out. Like take all that BS and fluff and make the paper or whatever you're writing legible. And like, but when you're intoxicated, usually you can do some of your like most creative thinking, which is unfortunate and good, I guess. Mm-hmm. So I took that to heart, like really took that to heart. And I think once I heard that, so I was probably a sophomore in my undergrad, until I was like 2 years into my master's, I took that to like heart. And I did every single bit of writing, like just not just a little drunk, like smacked.
Getting
like, until like 3-4 in the morning, writing out papers, staying up all night, becoming sober, and then editing it like as I was getting sober. Sure. And that kind of like, I got to a point where I was like, I don't think that this is sustainable. Like, this is not a good like pattern. Like maybe one drink is fine, but like, I took it way too to heart. And then it became like every bit of writing I had to drink, or like everything I needed to do, like
became very habitual. Sounds like
behind a computer, or like just in my day to day, it like became like a beer was like a casual beer, or 3 or 5, or like. So it just became like way overindulgence. And then I had a brush in with the law, and that was the moment I was like, I quit drinking for almost a year then, kind of thought about things quite a bit. And I never really had the intention of like quitting drinking permanently. I wanted to be more of like this kind of a thing, you know, like event wise.
Sure.
Like, and that's kind of what it is now turned into. It's more, I don't write drunk at all or anything. And needless to say, I actually have really struggled to like write more now, because I used to do it in a completely different state of mind. So now it's like really difficult
to get your mind back into like, hey, being sober writing.
But the writing is so much better. It's like a lot better. Yeah. More quality.
So who wrote Cujo? Stephen King?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever hear this? Like, fun fact that he wrote Stephen King, or he wrote Cujo completely on cocaine and alcohol. He doesn't even remember writing it.
That makes sense. Like reading it.
But I mean, I can't remember. I mean, there has been a couple studies though, and talking about how, like, when you said like it opens up your mind, creativity.
Yeah.
And like just subjectively speaking, for me, that when I drink and like if I'm doing some type of work like that, or if even podcasting or editing something, or I've noticed my mind goes into different areas than I would sober.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, man, that was, man.
I think it's more of like the mental barriers. Like you're more reserved when you're in your sober state of mind.
I'd agree.
And those like come down. And for like writing scientifically, it's like, that's really helpful. You get some of that creativity and inspiration that you typically wouldn't have.
Oh my
God. You're done.
usually I hide that ball, but sorry, Rocky. But yeah, I mean, to your point though, and also Neil You know who Neil deGrasse Tyson is?
Yeah.
Yeah. He talked about this too, is that he used to write papers in college just drinking wine and stuff. And that he thought his papers were actually really awesome writing in that way. But he found out when he woke up the next morning or whatever and read them, he was like, oh, that really wasn't
Garbage.
great.
Yeah, it's garbage.
But I mean, but when you edit them sober though, I mean, because I think there is some good points to that. Because I feel like would my mind or myself would have wrote that without alcohol being involved or whatever vice you have.
Yeah.
But then if you edit it, like, okay, it's cool, no big deal. But sometimes, because like I said earlier, that I don't think some of my thoughts that come out, I was like, that was a pretty good thought. I don't think I would have had that just sitting around being sober.
Yeah,
or maybe it was in there and I just couldn't get it out.
it's conflicting for me, but I have like told myself I won't like drink anymore and write and like
Yeah.
I'm gonna be
So you
professional
found yourself like this is like you just said professional about it. Like it's better now that if you just write sober and edit sober.
Yeah, it's a much better strategy long term.
Yeah. Well, then alcohol is it more like a treat for you now rather than just trying to like make it a work kind of thing? I guess is that the right thing I'm trying to say?
Yeah, it's just having a balance, you know,
There you
like
go.
having
That's
good
what I'm trying to
balance
say.
in your life. That's the big one. Which
So you can enjoy it now rather than just drinking just to get drunk. Maybe.
I was. Yeah, yeah. For lack of better words, yeah. But I would say I've like kind of replaced it with like the gym and CrossFit, like in a way. Like I have a really addictive personality, really addictive personality, and it's like ever since I was a kid, I'll like when I get into something, it's like
You go all in.
I can't like just be at something. It's like if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And like you can see that with my like CrossFit performance.
I've been noticing.
I can't not like prevent myself from doing it. But it was the same with like drinking. Like even if it was just with a group of like 3 or 4 people or by myself, it's like, how much can you drink? Like you got to drink everyone under the table. It was like I'm making it a competition. I've got to be the best at everything. And it's like it doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah.
Like everything doesn't have to be like that. Moderation is like really the key.
It's actually not bad, right? No, I was never really taught how to drink. So, like to your point there, that I started drinking in high school, and you know, my parents, they didn't mind buying us. Like I remember my stepdad would go get us a bottle of Jack or whatever. He's like, "Hey, yeah, if I don't care what y'all do, just stay here. That's all here. Give me your keys or whatever." And but that was cool for us. I mean, my friends would sit in my parents' basement, just like, "Oh yeah, we're getting hammered right now." But then it would turn into like shots and how much can you drink, but it really wasn't just enjoying a drink or whatever. It was like, just how much can you drink?
Challenge,
And you know, and it progressed just like into college as far as like playing beer pong and just having like competitive friends too. It's like, hey, man, we got to finish this bottle tonight. And it's like you already half blacked out. And you're like, yeah, I ain't no pussy. I get
chugging beers. Or like literally, me and my one buddy, he's my roommate now. We both went on the sobriety thing together.
Nice.
But when back in like our undergrad, we would literally be playing video games, blackout, and he would pass out at the computer. Like we would be that intoxicated, you know, like literally middle of a game. I'm smacking him. Wake up, man. Wake up. Let's chug another beer. That'll get like what? Like what?
Yeah. No, we used to do the same thing. We'd play. It's like we'd all get together, and it was rather either playing beer pong or we'd play Gears of War. And like every time you die, you got to take a shot or like, you know, chug a beer or whatever. And like that, I guess like you were just saying, associating, you know, right drunk and edit sober, like we're all together, we're all playing games, we don't have nothing to do tomorrow, just all get hammered or whatever. Who cares about how much we're drinking? But also like I didn't know, you know, what it could or could not be doing to my body, or I didn't also like I was not like you with the addictive personality. Maybe that's what I get. Like I just didn't care what I did except like, oh, I'm living here for this moment right now. This is fun. Like I don't care what my future is going to be like. Just keep drinking.
I think everything I've done, it's been super like addictive. Like even grad school, like I was like, if you met me when I first started my master's degree, and I've talked to a couple of like other students I've like that have known me since then, and they've been like, you've changed, like not like even physically, but like mentally, you've changed a lot since you started. You were a very gung-ho master's student. You were like, I'm going to do this, that, and this. And like, I know exactly what my like plan is. And like, and it's changed a lot since then. I don't know where I was going with that per se, but
that's fine. That's what I do on here all the time. I always start talking, then I kind of go off on little tangents and rambles. And like, what was I talking about? I don't know. Who cares? But yeah, man. But I mean, it's good. Like, you know, cause you found like,
it was the addictive personality. That's what, but I was like super addicted to like my career path, like at that moment in time. And like, as I've changed, so is like that obsession. It's now shifted like to fitness and I grow cannabis too. So it's shifted like fitness and growing cannabis, and that's about it. Like and trying to finish my master or my PhD in the like kind of juggling it, you know?
There's like, those are your like morals or values or whatever you want to say, like right now, because
my obsessions.
Yeah, there you go. That's good. Yeah. That's a good, or hobby, whatever. That's a good way to put it.
I think hobby's not even the right word. Maybe with the cannabis, it's a hobby.
Okay.
That's about like 4 hours a week. I've found a really good balance.
Like a passion?
With that.
Like you found a passion?
But it's a passion.
There we
sure.
go. That's what I'm trying to get at. Because, you know, like 10 years ago, like I wasn't the same person, and you weren't either, obviously.
No way.
Like, and now, and just like these last, what'd you say, 2 or 3 years of just doing CrossFit and stuff, and like how much you progressed mentally and physically, and just wow, man. Like you're not the same person you were 2 years ago.
And it's actually crazy the amount, like, it's not even just CrossFit per se, like the name CrossFit, like just fitness in general, and the amount that I've done and like I keep doing has like changed me physically, mentally, spiritually, like in almost every way possible. And like, I hate to like harper on it, but like my fiance said that, like ex-fiance said that, like as we were breaking up, she's like, you've changed a lot in the last year. And like, I think she kind of meant it to be like, I don't like the way you've changed, which is fine. You don't have to accept like that. But I value the person that I've become more than I was before. But it's like you said, people change over.
Do you
10
think,
years.
and you don't have to answer this, I guess, if you don't want to, but do you think that she saw you kind of progressing and moving forward where she was kind of stagnant?
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, almost like, I don't want, maybe jealous in a way?
I'd say resentment. There's a lot of resentment. Like, wow, because, you know, ultimately the goal is to like be a better person always, like, especially in a relationship too. But like, she's like, man, he's like, said he's going to stop drinking and he's going to get fit and he's doing all the thing and still working on a PhD and like managing the household. And we got a dog at that time. So it was like juggling all these things that I was doing and like still maintaining like that healthy fitness and being more of a like, what's the word? Mindful person too. Like not only with myself, but with others, like, you know, golden rule as well, you know, kind of stuff, but like, just being more mindful about everything because I wasn't in that like drunk state of mind all the time where I was just mentally clouded. I was able to like actually think about every decision I made, like, or that we made as like a group.
I don't know why I just did that, but okay. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you on that.
No, you're good. There was a lot of resentment. Like once I started CrossFit and like to the time we ended up breaking up and I felt it, like could feel it regularly. Like I would go to the gym and like start looking good and she'd be like, kind of all negative about it. And
she was negative about it?
Yeah, very negative. Yeah. And that kind of like.
Did you get self-conscious about it or whatever? Like you're worried about it just because like, hey, like I'm doing this, but you know, maybe you're trying to save the relationship and just, should I be doing this?
I didn't understand it because like I'd quit drinking at that point and was like, I'm being a better me. I'm doing all the things that like we had talked about, like wanting to be better people and like mindful and spiritual happiness and being able to communicate better and just feeling good. And I was like, I'm doing all the things that I should be doing. Like, why are you fighting me so hard on this? And
yeah, it's not like you're out just like spending all your money and doing, you know, coke all night until you whatever
drinking till 4 a.m.
Yeah, like you're doing things that in most people's eyes are like, hey, this is what, you know, good people do and the strong people do, and just, you know, they go to point A to point B. They want to see themselves planning for their future rather than just being stagnant, it's doing the same thing, you know?
Yeah, and I like not to say she wasn't. She's working on a master's degree as well, and working like part time as well. So like she had a lot on her plate too, but like it definitely was a lot of resentment. But it like honestly, dude, it's worked out for the best for me. Like
it seems like that way, man.
Like I didn't realize how like much I had changed in the amount of time that we had known each other as well.
Yeah, and
like I think she's still stuck in that like undergrad period of life, like still feeling like I'm 21, 22. Like want to be that old, like,
kind of Peter Pan syndrome. You don't want to grow up yet.
Yeah. And I was like 25, 26 and I'm like, I'm ready to start like building my career and becoming an actual adult and like doing adult things and having structure and routine and being healthy. And like, I was like, I've always joked around. I was like, I want to live as long as physically human possible.
I
you
like
know?
it. That's not a joke. I agree with that. I'm
Like-
trying to be a centurion.
Like, I want to, I was like 100, 150.
Let's go, baby.
Put a pig heart in me. I don't even care. But like, and then I was looking at the way we were living and yeah, put a pig heart
I
in.
don't care. Yeah.
I was looking at the way we were living. And I was like, I'm not going to live till I'm 50. Like I have history of multiple cancer in my family. My dad, his dad's dad were all alcoholics and died of cancer related to alcohol. It's like, I can't like keep up with this current lifestyle and I can't be happy this way. And so I honestly, since we broke up though, I've been like, I hate to say it, haven't been like more happy though. Like I didn't realize
You shouldn't hate to say it.
I didn't realize I could be happier than I was. I'm like a not codependent person, but I do like really crave companionship. I think most humans do.
I agree with that.
And I still am like seeking it out. But like in terms of like happiness though, man, it's like through the roof.
Yeah.
So it's been a like life-changing past 4 years, really 7 years, 10 years, but it's been really good. You know, does that make sense?
It makes 100%, dude, because, and cheers to that here. Cheers to that, bro. I mean, it makes 100% sense. That's because that's one of the things I like to say on here that is just people progressing and moving forward. And like, I know, like I was kind of telling you earlier, we have these same conversations, but just when I see people bettering themselves, no matter if you're leaving people behind or whatever, you're kind of looking at for number one, that it's so good to see that. And whether you have, whatever it is, you don't have to do CrossFit and all that thing, that's our thing or whatever, obviously. But just making yourself a better person is just
making yourself
A1.
number one.
Exactly.
That's the statement right there. And I think that's something I was like kind of beating around the bush on, is I was not putting myself as number one for a long
and being in that relationship and just, you know, I've had a few relationships in my life and obviously I'm still single and all that, but that's kind of the thing is that, you know, I try to find that balance where, you know, should I be going, you know, doing better than her? Is she doing better than me? Am I upset about this? Can we grow together and make a huge kingdom? Are we, you know, what are we doing here? And just that is, I don't know. It never worked out the way I thought it would. And like, I used to think I was like what you were saying, being codependent, but it seems like when I found out that I was doing pretty good on my own, that I was like, all right, well, I don't need, you know, random women in my life if it's not going to do anything better for me, right. Or even like, you know, if it's going to take me down a level mentally and or physically. But yeah, I mean, I still seek it out like you were saying, but it's just like now it's like, I'm okay. I'm doing better. I'm doing good. I'm moving forward.
I can exist.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Be happy.
Yeah, like, you know, things are looking up, bro. Like, you know, let's go. But yeah, I mean, do I still want that? Yeah, but I think it's just if you find like, I don't want to say a toxic person, but you know, it's like you're just eating yourself from the inside out, just letting them get you down when you're like, because it's just, you're comfortable, I guess, and you're afraid of change, mate.
Comfortable.
Yeah,
that's something that you get comfy or afraid of change, and like change isn't inherently bad. It's good. Right? Most of the time,
very
it's good.
good.
It's challenge, you know, and challenging yourself is part of growing and learning how to be a better you, right?
Mm. Hey, real quick time out. You still have your shoes on?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just
should I not?
No, that's fine. But I'm glad you do because one of the dogs likes to eat shoes.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, and sometimes if I don't see him, I'm like, he takes a shoe and runs.
I was like, these are some spiffy vans.
So. Sorry, all right. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you again.
No, you're good.
I want to watch out for your shoes. He's done it to a couple people. Like, hey, thanks for coming over, but I guess I owe you some shoes.
My dog just ate your shoes.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry, bro. But yeah, man. But it's just yeah, that's one of my burdens in life too, as far as like relationships and stuff, and just thinking about where that's going, and just because I'm always the guy, just like, hey, you know, where's Bay at? Where's your girl? Like, hey, who'd you bring? Like, I don't know. I'm good. You know,
it's me.
Yeah, like it's just me, man, and it's always kind of been like that, which, you know, kind of sucks at the same time, but it's good at the same time too, just because kind of what you just said, being comfortable. It's just like I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah,
it's not added stress in my life.
No, you're hitting the nail on the head.
Yeah, man. Like I've been there, dude. And yeah, no, and it still kind of weirds me out. And especially when people like, like I'm always the guy now. Like when I go to family get-togethers and stuff, I used to be like, "Hey, when I'm having grandkids, you know, like, hey, you know, who'd you bring home?" Like, oh, no, grandma, sorry, she didn't come today. Sorry, ain't happened yet for me.
Yeah,
and so and it sucks, but you know, it's like, well, it's not that bad too. At the same time, but I'm not preaching like sitting on a high horse like everyone should be single or anything by any means. But I'm just saying that's my whole point, I guess. And maybe I'm beating a dead horse now, but just don't have somebody in your life just to bring you down or just because
don't settle.
There you go. Just don't settle because it's the saddest, the norm.
Like you can probably, if you're not happy, you can be happy, right?
If you're not happy, you can be happy.
Yeah, that's a terrible saying.
No, I was trying to make sure I heard it right.
Yeah, you can definitely don't settle because you can always find something better. Just be patient.
What do you think? Like, you know, you were talking about growing cannabis and CrossFit. Now, like finishing your PhD, and like you said, like they were your obsessions and your passions. I mean, it's like, do you think? And this might be a blanket statement or whatever, but do you think that's what most people are missing in their lives, and that's why they just keep going with being comfortable, just saying, "Hey, just."
You know, I hate to. I'm going to bring it back to like my past experiences, right? And with the relationship, that was a big resentment thing. Was I have these passions? Like I started growing cannabis and really got into it. Like, and I had my passion of like entomology at the time, and I then started getting a passion for fitness, and it was like that's I think where some of the resentment was because she was also not happy with her career path, and like didn't like what she was doing for work and saw that I was like passionate about all of these things and like friends and family and stuff too. I'm also passionate for, but like those three things like that I do specifically in my life, like she didn't have those.
Yeah.
So I think going back to your statement, yeah, that is like what can like lead to that, like with people is not having it doesn't even have to be like a passion like I'm going to build my career around it, but like have something to look forward to in life. It's traveling or food or whatever it may be, but some people just I feel like get so stagnant and like are okay with being just okay. And I've never been that kind of a person. I'm like, I'm okay now, but I could be better.
I agree.
And I don't know. If you're not thriving, you could be better, right?
Yeah. That's what, when I look at people now and they tell me that, you know, they don't have a passion or they're just okay, just being okay. Which, you know, if you're happy, you're healthy. You know, ultimately, like I don't care what people do as long as you're not hurting yourself or hurting anyone else. Go do whatever. I don't give a fuck.
No judgment.
Yeah,
if you're happy in life and content,
exactly.
Like, do you?
But sometimes when people are just like, you know, I'm good where I'm at. I was like, you don't want to. You could be better.
Nothing.
Yeah, like then it kind of makes me think like, am I not thinking clearly? Like what am I missing? Like no, I'm happy. I'm like everything's good. You know, like
why do I crave more?
Yeah, exactly. Why am I never satisfied?
Yeah, like completely satisfied. Yeah,
and I get to a point where, and I've tried to in my own self do like, okay, I'm good. Like everything's good, right? Like I'm happy. You know, I'm not hurting. I know I can take a shower today. I can eat. You know, I got 2 wiener dogs running around, like everything's good, but then it's just like, but maybe I could get something else.
Yeah.
But maybe that's what makes people great rather than okay. You know, maybe is that what great people do? I mean, they have that burning inside them, like
passion.
Same thing with CrossFit. You know, like doing it for X amount of years. You know, you're just like I still keep going back every day and day just because I'm still waiting to get that extra little 5-pound PR or whatever. It's like, I'm going to get it.
That's funny you say that because I've thought about some athletes that are like still at like PRs they've had for like 4 or 5 years. And I'm like, how are you okay with that? Like that would freaking drive me insane. Like mentally knowing that I've hit that brick wall for years.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't be able to accept that. Like, but I'm not saying they're wrong. Like if they're happy with that and they're getting fitness and enjoying their life, they're not wrong. They're living life great.
Exactly.
Like, but for me, like I'm like left like fumbling with my words because that's how I feel. I'm like, like
you're right. Because I think about it all the time, especially at the gym, just when coaching people and like I'm not calling anyone out or saying or anything, but like when somebody says, "Hey, I want to get a pull up or I want to get a muscle up or whatever," and it's just like, then they just keep going on along their day, just, not putting a little extra work here, not at least practicing or doing anything, right? Just like, well, how bad are you just saying that because it sounds good, or do you really want one, And just like, if you really want it, go get it. Like, let's do it, bro.
Like
exactly.
It leaves me stumbling for words because I could mentally, like, in the way I view my life and the decisions I make, I'm like, it's not, I don't even say that's an addictive personality, but I'm always seeking to make myself better.
Yeah, that's not
if I see a position that I can improve myself in any way, like, I'm gonna take it. Like,
you should.
That's why I'm doing a PhD. Like, I felt like it would have been stupid to like pass down a full ride to a great university for a thing I was really into at the time, and like then also getting paid to do it. Like
why not?
Like, I would be stupid. And okay, sure, like, if I probably really sat down and thought about like transitioning to a PhD, I probably would have not done that.
Yeah.
But then again, I look back and I'm like, I would have been stupid to not do it. Like, why not get the free doctorate? It's not necessarily free. I'm putting in time and energy and work.
Oh yeah, there's no such thing as free lunch, but yeah.
But like, essentially a free one. Like, I felt like I would be stupid, but then again, there's other people that I know that would easily turn it down and just be okay with being that master's degree and getting a job, like being Joe Schmo is not the right word, but like
average Joe.
Yeah. Like, and I can see in that person that they have greater potential. Like, their quality of work is great. They do have a good work ethic. And I'm like, but you don't seek greater for yourself, like beyond a certain point. Like, you're okay with just being okay. Like, I'm not saying I need to be like a millionaire or anything.
Right.
But like, I'm always got these goals for myself. And like, once I finish one, there's already 2 or 3 more that I like want to achieve. And it puzzles me.
Yeah.
And I think that is the difference between those that achieve great things and those that live a mediocre life. That's probably not the right way to say it. As a little
that's okay.
Diss,
like, I don't know if this is a hot take. I don't think if it was a diss, but sometimes I wonder, like, where did this, like, why do I want to be better? Where did it come from? Where did it stem from, or whatever? And I remember, playing. You're talking about playing games. Like, I've always played games ever since. I remember my uncle getting me the first Nintendo NES, and just like as far as like a level system, like as far as whatever game you're playing, like, I always want to be like, I gotta get to the next level.
Yeah,
I gotta do it. Like, I want to be there. And I was wondering if that kind of was put into my brain, personality, whatever you want to say, at an early age. And this was like, hey, when you see the game of life coming at you in real time now, that, hey, okay, I'm 16, I'm 17, I'm 18, like, let's start making some moves here. And then, like, college was, for me, was just a big party. I majored PE. Like, it was the easiest major there was. It was just like waiting for Thursday, Friday, Saturdays to party all night. I don't know, I was not drinking and writing papers like you were talking about earlier. I'm not saying that, but like, it was just always like looking forward to, hey, what are we doing tonight?
There was always something.
Yeah, there was always, we going happy hour. Are we just staying in playing video games? Like, what's going on? What's the move, bro?
Yeah,
what hoe's that, dude? And so, but then after that, it was like, got in back. Oh wait, maybe I messed up on those first 4 years right there. Maybe I should start making myself better in some sense. I didn't want to be a loser.
So I like, my dad was an Army Ranger. And like, he wasn't a crazy military dad by any means. He was really great, but he did instill a lot of like the Ranger mentality stuff into me. Like, what's that saying? I'm blanking on it right now.
Like what like the Marines have, like Semper Fi or something.
No, it's adapt and overcome.
Shit.
Or like, that was a big one. But like, I knew that what he went through. Like, I always have this in like the back of my head that like, man, if my dad was able to go through that in like Ranger school, mentally, physically, and like spiritually, like, I can do it. Like, lift 400 pounds. I can eventually do that, or whatever, put it over my, whatever the thing is. Like, I've always got it in the back of my head that like, my dad was such a hard worker and went through so much. I can do that too. Like, and he kind of instilled that like work ethic per se, but it also turned into like an obsession. He was also very like, well, he's an alcoholic for a while. He's not anymore. But like,
good.
I saw a lot of that, like the same things that I do, like the way I get so passionate or like really into things, he also did. And like, I think I picked it up from him.
Nice.
At a really, really early age. And I've seemed to be able to channel it in a mostly positive way. There's a little bit turns here and there, but like, I even like in the gym now, I'm always thinking like, like in the middle of a workout, I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm like, my dad could like,
he fucking did it. I'm going to do it.
like he could do it. And I'm going to do it. Like maybe he didn't do that exact same thing, but it's always there. Like,
well, being in you were never military, I'm guessing.
no, I wasn't.
But like,
for a while, it was something I wanted to do, but both my dad and my stepdad, who were Army Rangers, like, were like, like, if it's the last thing on your plate and you've got no other option, don't do it.
They advised you against it?
They advised me, but they both advised me against it. And they were both enlisted men. So they weren't officers.
Really?
Yeah. They both advised
just because
me
knowing what they went through? And
I think they saw more in me than that. They're like, you're not a grunt. You're not someone that's meant to just take orders. You're a free thinker and you've got a lot of ideas, and not necessarily that I can't take orders. I do. I'm a very
problem with authority.
No. I don't have any problem with authority.
But is that kind of what?
No, they're like, you're too. I guess they saw more in me. Than,
you got more potential.
Than I saw myself at the time.
I got you.
Which honestly was a really good thing. They both advised me to not do it. I think it's a good thing. Like, I don't know where my life would be in that circumstance had I gone down that road, but I'm happy with the decisions I've made to now. So
should be.
I don't regret not joining or anything. And I guess worst case scenario, I could always join as an officer and be an entomologist and have a pretty cushy military job. But
Ranger's pretty. I don't know a lot about military, but Ranger's pretty respectable, correct?
I'm pretty elite, yeah.
Because like Lance and I were talking the other day about. Do you know who David Goggins is?
No.
So he used to be he's one of these guys who was a former Navy SEAL and kind of had this rough childhood growing up. If you read his book, Can't Hurt Me, but he was a big kid. He saw his father beating his mom all the time and threatening to kill him too and all this stuff. But big overweight kid finally got to where he just was like, hey, I'm stop being a pussy. Like, I'm going to be a hard motherfucker. That's what he always says, like, stay hard. Right.
Stay hard.
And so now he runs like ultra marathons, and he ended up being a Navy SEAL and has talked about like that was his thing. Like, I just wanted to be a SEAL and I was going to do whatever it takes to get there no matter what. Just like him just changing himself mentally and physically was what he wanted to do. But that was like, so that was my point. It was like, we were talking about like him and stuff. Like, how do you like handle like, what's it, Hell Week and being a Navy SEAL? Like, could we do it? And I was like, I like to think I could, but I don't know honestly if I have that. Even like us talking about mindset right now, that I'll be like, I don't think I could do it.
Physically, man. I know I could do it. Mentally is the big one. Do you have what it's mentally?
Yeah, they try to break you, bro.
And like, yeah, if you like what you were asking, was Ranger synonymous to that? It definitely is. It's like synonymous. I wouldn't want to say synonymous. I'm not an Army guy. Like, I'm not in the Army and don't want to speak for anyone that is. But like, I mean, they're valued quite high.
Sure,
they're respected.
I thought they were. Yeah,
first in, last out.
That's big money moves right there.
But it's I have always respected it growing up, and I use it to drive me a lot of the times. And even like in school stuff, like, okay, my dad wasn't an academic guy, but like he went through all of that, like to be a Ranger, like, man, or like even his tours and stuff, like, I can write this paper. Like, it's nothing compared to what he went through,
Yeah.
I can write like, this. Like, I need to really evaluate my life right now, and can like. And I think that for me, like, that I'm saying it's a driving factor, but when I meet people that are like, yeah, I just quit this thing because that one thing was too hard or something, I'm always like, you just like gave up? Like for me, like quitting and giving up it's a really hard thing to do. Like I struggle at quitting and saying no. Like, for example, like even I had my dog for a while and I just recently rehomed him to a really great home. But like, even just being like admitting to myself that I didn't have the time and like energy to put towards, he was a puppy, put towards him was like, it was crushing me mentally to just quit on him. But in a growing moment, I had to make that decision that I actually couldn't do this thing. And then to better myself, full circle here, to better myself, I had to like, rehome him and do the thing I didn't want to do and didn't want to quit, but like I needed to do this thing. And like, while it's not the greatest example, like it's just giving up a dog, it crushed me. Dude,
I've been down that road. I did it before these two idiots. I had a border collie and just living here, and I was gone 12 hours a day between work and going to the gym. And I was like, I felt so bad for him because he was so high energy. And I was like, sorry, dude. Like in this, I can't remember. He was probably 4 or 5 years old. And like finally, when I bought this house and moved in, yeah, pour yourself another one. Go on, man.
I was gonna ask you if you wanted to take.
Yeah,
these.
wait, yeah, let's do it. Let's say because this is tough.
Cheers, man.
But yeah, yeah, Baxter. Like I got to a point where it's like, I'm sorry, bro. I'm just going to rehome you. Now he's on a sheep farm and he's living his best life.
Same, yeah. Jaeger, he was a pit bull. He's on a farm with another dog, living his literally the same words as you, living his best life. And it feels great knowing that by giving up, I actually gave him a better life and gave myself a better life. And
I agree.
It was like a really, I hate to say that was a big learning moment for myself, but it really was like being able to admit like, I can't do this thing.
Yeah.
Because my entire life, like, I wouldn't say I haven't quit things before, but like going my entire life, like I have always been so very driven and I'm not going to give up. And that's kind of the mentality I have with my PhD. Like right now I'm kind of really burnt out on it. Not feeling so stoked on entomology, but like got a year and a half left. I'm going to tough through it. I won't quit on this thing because if I did quit, there is no benefit. Exactly. There is no bettering myself. Maybe mentally I'll like not be so burnt out, but like I don't have a degree then to show for it. I didn't get a master's. I converted. So like I literally have nothing to show for that 4 years.
Yeah.
Like
So you've been doing this for how many years? 3?
Yeah, I started in 2020.
Yeah,
fall of 2020. So about 3 years now.
And plus, like you said earlier, just going into the podcast, I think you said a free ride and a stipend.
Yeah.
Right. And just how many, you don't get those opportunities a lot in life. And I don't know how many people do or not. Maybe you don't. I never got one, but just to go that far and be like, yeah, I know you're burnt out, but just for me, I'd be like, what's one more year? I've already done 3.
Exactly. Okay.
It's like a workout.
Another 6 months. Like exactly. And it's like, I think that's the point I was trying to make is like, I'm trying to relate it to a workout. Like I can apply that ranger mentality.
That's what I do.
Not give up. Just keep persevering, go through it, do the thing, and I will be a better person at the end of it. But then there's those life moments where you've got to decide when quitting is beneficial. And like the dog thing was one of those examples where I had to make that decision and grew from quitting. But it's hard to balance like when to do that and when to not do that. And I think the difference between someone that's great and someone that is not is like persevering at the right times, but also quitting at the right times, knowing.
You just know your limits, so to speak?
I wish I knew them better.
Well,
I'm learning them. I
think that's kind of what life is too, just because, we talked about a little bit of relationships early in the podcast and talking about, just it's comfortable to staying through this, but just knowing like, hey, it's comfortable and cool and not like, hey, this is not knowing if it's scary, man. It's like, what happens if she leaves, if I leave and I can't get anybody else, like, hey, it's just like, this is my limit, right? I'm right here. But like maybe there's like a fire in your belly. I know that's probably cliche thinking, but, but just saying like, I'm destined for more, Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's like, there's something else out there and that, you just learn from life and just knowing that when you know that you just know it somewhere. I don't know if it's intuition or what it is, but you just know that, hey, if I do these, 50 more pull-ups, there could be a chance I get rhabdo, or I could end up with being greatness. But you don't know what you don't know. You just know it by going through experiences, I think. And that's one of the things that I've taught myself is like, you read about like David Goggins I was telling you about, or I don't know, George Washington, or all these great people, whoever they are, and just that what they did in life. But I was like, well, I can't live my life exactly how they did it because I'm not them. Right.
You're not there. Yeah,
exactly. I don't know what they did. I don't, maybe maybe they're just
would
bullshit.
You make those same decisions?
Yeah. But like, I know you got to know what I know now, what I've done and what I'm capable of. And that, okay, maybe not go the full 50 pull-ups. So let me do 25 more. Let's see what happens, and just go. And you learned. And that's the thing. It's like, is that key to life? I don't know. Is that learning? Just learning and just knowing yourself and just knowing how you react in certain situations and how to better yourself and just being self-awareness. That's what I'm trying to say.
I think that's the most I've learned in my in my grad school career is like I've learned a lot about entomology, like academically. Research.
What got you into entomology? Should we get people may want to know that?
We'll touch on that and we'll pin that, table that for a second there. I
Okay, my bad.
I thought I had something.
My bad. I'm sorry, bro.
Oh, I got it. So I was like I've learned a lot academically in my like PhD career, but like I think I've learned the most about myself and who I like am, which is kind of funny. You think like going into that grad school program, it's all geared like academically and your research and whatever it is you're doing, right? And you're going to come out trained for that, and that's like what you did, right? But I feel like truthfully for me, I have learned a lot, but I've learned more about myself and how I as a person am going to live the rest of my life through this process. And I don't think a lot of other students feel that way. Like they feel like they've just had this academic training and haven't had this like transformative life moment or life experience. And for me, grad school has been a transformative life experience. Like I don't think I would be as or like physically, mentally healthy or like happy with my life and like I said earlier, thriving if I hadn't made these choices. Like, yeah, I'm burnt out and I hate every second of like being in my office at school.
Damn.
But like I'm thriving. Like while you're doing, I'm thriving in life. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm not liking this thing I'm doing, but like,
but you know it's gonna make you better.
Yeah, and like I'm gonna thrive, and I'm not gonna put like 80% towards it. I'm gonna put 110% towards it, even though I hate it and hate being here. But like I'm gonna do the thing. And like, but also like mentally like battling going to school and like a relationship and all of those things, like I felt like I learned more about myself than I did academically, I felt like. And that was like the biggest takeaway. Like for instance, I don't even want to do entomology anymore. But going back to your previous statement about what got me into entomology. So like when I was a kid, I was always passionate about animals, zoology, really. And the joke when I was younger was I wanted to get a degree in everything because I like just couldn't, every science. Like I couldn't decide what science. I love science, always had. But then I kind of fell down like the typical high school rabbit hole, drinking a lot at like my friend's house that would buy beers for us, and it would stay in the house. Like, and, you know, and then a bad girlfriend and started smoking pot. Now, I wouldn't say that was the bad decision. That's actually kind of funny. And I'll maybe if I remember, I'll come back to it. But like just being, you know, a high schooler, I was like, I'm not going to go to college. I'm going to just work a job and do that. So I did for a while. I realized I was like, I was working like roof demolition, like commercial roof demolition. So like those buildings that are like as long as you can see, you know, like tearing up those roofs and then replacing them and stuff.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Like, and I was like, I don't really want to do this.
That
so like,
sucks.
One night I was tripping on acid and watching the like Wild Thornberry movie, and I was like, I'm gonna be a zoologist, like the Thornberries. And I was like, as a kid, it was like an epiphany moment almost. I was like, I'm gonna do what I wanted to do as a kid. Like, why deviate from my original like career path? So I was like, okay, I'm gonna sign up for school. So the closest school like to me was Kutztown University in Pennsylvania, which like some family members had gone to. So I knew it was like a good school. It's a state school. I was like, I'll sign up for environmental biology. Like it's close enough to zoology. They didn't have a zoology degree. So I like got a year or two into that degree, and my zoology professor, my lab professor, was an entomologist. And like when we got to the insect portion of zoology, I was like blown away. So insects are like, we know of 1 million species of insects, but there's like estimates that there's at least 2 to 3 million insect species out there. So we essentially haven't discovered like 50 to 66% of them, right? That's, to me, that's
50%?
Yeah, of a million. So we've only discovered a million.
Okay. I'm with you now. Okay.
So there's like at least another million or more that we haven't discovered. And I was like blown away by that fact. They're the most represented group of organisms out of all out of all life on Earth. They're the most represented by far, like the most insects, even compared to like many vertebrates and stuff, or invertebrates. Either way. it was like, wow, these are like aliens. They're crazy cool. They're so diverse. Like you could spend a whole lifetime just studying one species of that like million plus, you know? And I was like kind of captivated by that. So I started expressing interest in my lab professor that was an entomologist, picked up on that. And like, he's like, well, I teach this like grad school level course, an entomology course. And if you're interested, I'll let you skip the prerequisite and take the course. Like it's going to be really challenging. It'll probably be one of the hardest things like academically that you've ever done.
Yeah.
But if you're really interested in entomology, it's a good path to like start you on. So I signed up for it and ended up getting the highest grade in the class. Like there were grad students there and I got higher than them, which I just probably put more time than they did. Like being a grad student now, I can understand why they probably didn't perform so well in that class. It was really freaking hard. But then I was like, okay, I like have a knack for this thing. I really enjoy it. And he saw potential, so offered me like an opportunity to do some research, like with the spotted lanternfly, an invasive insect. And I was like, okay, like I'm all in. Like I'm digging this. Like I feel like I've found something that like jives with myself. And then I won that prize when I went and presented. I was like, this is working. And like entomology is one of those career paths that you don't hear people being like, I'm an entomologist, but it's one of those jobs like being a nurse. Like you're always going to have a job. Like, for example, there's always crops being grown. There's always going to be insect damage or even health-wise, you know, think about mosquitoes transferring diseases and stuff. Like there's always going to be a need for entomologists to either manage insects or learn more about the ecosystem and whatnot. So it's like, it's not only going to be like a good career path, like, but I can also always guarantee myself a job, essentially, either in agriculture, because that's kind of where I was more specialized, was agriculture and pest management. So it's like, I really got into it. I was like, I'm good at this thing. I got specialized on that insect, the spotted lanternfly, and worked on it for like 4 years, had read every research paper like 20 times. And to this day, I still am the, you know, receptacle of information on that insect, because that's what my grad degree is on too. So I highly specialized in that one insect, but it's like, that's kind of what got me into entomology, to like answer your question in a long way.
No, man, that's good, man. Somebody told me, I don't remember how they told me this, but based on what you go through in your childhood experiences, whether it be good things, bad things, things you like, things you dislike, but most, and I can't remember what he said. He's used to be one of my old directors at the Recreation Center, Radford University. Shout out Barry. I don't know if you listen, but anyway, shout out to him. But like most people, whatever that is, like whatever experiences you have as a child, that's usually kind of what leads you into your career path. Mm-hmm. I was wondering, you know, like you talked about, like you kind of picked it up in high school, and he never gave me like a given age. I don't even know where he could have just made that up to me. Like, oh, that sounds pretty good. Cool, man. But
definitely,
I wonder if that's kind of true. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Yeah. For me, like, there's a couple of things that makes me think of. First of all, like when I made that decision to go to college, like I was tripping really hard by myself. It was probably not the greatest thing to do, but like
I've never done that, so I have I cannot relate to that at all.
It wasn't my first trip by any means, but it was like a introspective one. I had one of those like because my roommate at the time just had moved out and moved to Hawaii and joined the Marines, or no, he joined the Army. But like either way, like, so I was kind of like down in the dumps a little bit, and for some reason decided that doing some acid in that mental state would be a good idea. But it ended up turning out to be a good idea because I had this like I said, epiphany moment. It was like, why am I so confused with what I want to do with life? Like, why am I working these blue collar jobs? I think at the time I made the decision, I was working as like an arborist apprentice. So he's like training me to climb trees and cut down, you know, branches and stuff over people's houses and whatnot. Yeah. And like at the time I was like, I guess I'll do this, but I'm not like happy with it or anything. And I was like, why am I just settling? A more full circle.
Here we go.
Why am I just settling? And then something or other made me put in that movie and think back to like my childhood, which was like, I was always watching documentaries, always trying to go to zoos, like I wouldn't say I was documenting like the nature in my backyard, but I was always fascinated with it, always chasing down like lizards and like catching them and snakes and like all facets of life I always loved. So then when I had that moment of like, I should do what I like have always loved, like animals, like and like diversity of life, and like why not? What else am I doing right now? Like
sure.
I also had like a GI Bill from my dad, so like I knew I could go to college like relatively cheap. So it's like I've got this opportunity in front of me. Like I can go to school. It's not like I don't have the opportunity or like the privilege to go to school. Like it's there. I'd be stupid to not use it. Similar to like the PhD statement. Like I'd be stupid to not do it. So like when I made that decision, it was like, I'm going to do what made me happy when I was younger. Cause I think like it'll make me happier as an adult. And for a long time, I've thought the same thing. And now it could be a lot of burnout why I don't feel the same way about like entomology and insects and stuff.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you that I think like there was a moment in my childhood, maybe not a moment per se, but like just my childhood in general, like made me like I knew I was going to be a scientist. Like when I was a kid, you asked me what I was going to be. I was going to be a scientist, and that was like hands down was going to be. And I am. I'm an entomologist hired by Virginia Tech right now. Yes, I'm a PhD student, but I'm a paid entomologist. So I have achieved that like goal.
You're there,
like, I am
man.
a scientist. So yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. Well, it's not my statement, but it was his statement. But that's always stuck with me though. And it makes sense. Like when I'm out talking to people and I always hate, when people say like, oh, did you interview them on your podcast? Like, no, we talked about it, man. Like, I don't want people to ever think like this is an interview. It's just conversation. And my curious mind is just when I hear stuff. Yeah, I'm wondering that just because like, oh, wait, does that relate to them or not? But because when I think about it to myself subjectively and to my own experiences, like being in IT now, like I remember some of my key moments in life was like playing the Oregon Trail game. It's one of my earliest memories. Like, oh, you died of what is it, tuberculosis or something? Like you're dead. I start over, and then like getting our first computer and playing the old pinball games and like, oh, I know how to play solitaire, Mom. Check this out. And then now I don't know. Is it just coincidence? I don't know, but there's a good quote that about coincidence that hey, they just happen sometimes.
It's funny because I look back at that decision to like take acid that night as being like one of my best decisions I've ever made in my life, because it put me on this path that I'm on currently. Like since that moment, it's been almost 12 years, it's like my life changed that moment. I made that decision, put in that application. Or you could even say when I bought the acid or made the decision to buy like it all stemmed from that one moment. And like, that's wild. That's wild that like my whole life from then has been based off that one. Like, what if I didn't do that? Yeah. Where would I be?
Now we're talking my language,
like,
man.
Where would I be? That's like, that to me, like blows my mind. Like, okay, yeah, I went through a shitty relationship. I'm not happy with my entomology degree, but I found other passions. I'm happy. And like all of those things were prerequisites. They were requirements for me to be where I'm at now. Like if I hadn't had that night, man, where would I be? If my like roommate didn't move away, like, or waited an extra day, or like,
sure.
There's always that like mind wandering moment of like,
no, that's like a roller rink in my head, man.
It's a little trippy
because, and I've never done acid, and like the hardest drug I've ever done is weed, obviously. But like I've heard podcasts and read books about how people have like these little moments in life, they got stuck in traffic, but because they got stuck in traffic, they were able to get up on stage and like give their like as far as comedic example, like give their 15 minutes, and it made them like, oh, man, we saw whoever here like tonight. Where if they wouldn't have gotten stuck in traffic or whatever, they would have been opposite of that. They would have got put back in the back, and I don't know if that makes sense, but
no,
little things
does,
like that.
It does.
Like being like 5 minutes early or 5 minutes late, like or to whatever it is, or like having this like one key moment in life, like how much did that change my future? It's kind of like Back to the Future, kind of like it's like
like exactly
like hey, if we don't hit 88 miles an hour, what the fuck is going to happen?
Yeah,
am I going to go back? Am I going to bang my mom at night or what?
Bang my mom.
Wait, ain't that part of the thing?
Yeah,
like his mom was saying, no, Marty McFly. Yeah, okay, yeah. Like, and I was like,
she's really into him, really. Into
yeah,
him.
Bro.
Be your own dad. Talk about paradoxal. Yeah.
So it's like things like that go through my head just because, and like now it's. And like, you're talking about structure and routine earlier. And like, I used to think that shit was nerds. And
Yeah.
like dorky, right?
Yeah.
Like, what you got a calendar? Like, cool, bro. Like, show me your pin protector or pocket protector.
I live life by the waves of the ocean, man. You know, dude, that was me all through college. Well, I had dreadlocks. I was like,
let's go. What?
I was a full-fledged like hippie through college, and
did you have a hacky sack?
I really sucked at hacky sacking. I never carried that around.
I used to try, but I was good.
Give me a soccer ball. I can juggle a soccer ball. I cannot do a hacky sack, but I was like, sorry
for everybody likes hacky sacks. that was very stereotypical statement, but I thought it was kind of funny and clever.
It was almost like a rebellious bit. I was like gonna prove the stereotype, because I've always been since I started smoking weed, I've been a huge like supporter of it, and like everyone, like anyone that wants it or can find value in it, there is value in it. Like for me, it's like
smoking weed.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's my performance enhancing drug, man. That's my PED of choice.
Yeah.
But all jokes aside, like I truly do believe it's like it's a miracle for me, especially.
We're not the only one. I think you and I have talked about it the night before, but I've read and heard on podcasts that UFC fighters like to smoke before they train just because they feel more, what's the word am I looking for, in depth with their surroundings, awareness. Like they just know how they're feeling when they do certain things.
It helps me connect with like me more, like stop worrying so much and like put down all these like insecurities and almost mental barriers, like we were saying earlier, like my reservedness or like my maybe you don't want to do that thing. Like why? Just go do it. Like kind of anyway, like for me it works like really, really well. And I've always been like a big advocate for that. And I don't know where I was going with that.
Just talking about your PED and
yeah, I know that.
You like it. It's up to you a lot in life. Because I got a question that I want to go back to if you can't think of what you were.
I can't think of what I'm thinking of. So
okay. All right.
It'll come to me.
So, taking acid, right? Is it just like put it on your tongue? Is that the kind of? You want to talk to me like it's like acid 101 because I don't know much about it.
It's obviously a synthetic chemical, right?
Correct.
And typically you'll get it on like sheet paper, and it'll be sprayed on there. It'll dry. Then you'll take like a maybe 2 millimeter by 5 millimeter tab, put it on your tongue, under your tongue, let it dissolve, chew it up. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
But you can also get like liquid LSD as well. But the most common way of doing it, and honestly, truthfully, I probably was doing some research chemical. It probably wasn't real acid. It was sold to me as that. It's really hard to find real acid nowadays. It's a lot of the chemicals required to synthesize it are under strict lock and key or have to be synthesized by someone else. It's the whole like underground thing. A lot of it's research chemical. Either way, though, I was under some hallucinogenic like thing.
Well, what I was getting at was that I've listened to other people talk about how like if they've done ayahuasca or some type of psychedelic, how they've had this come to life kind of experience, and that they went through another dimension and saw other beings, and just like when they came
straight DMT moment.
More of like that. They came out on the other end, just like like I know who I am now. I met my demons, and like Ron White. He's a pretty famous comedian. I don't know if you know who he is. And he was talking about he did ayahuasca, and that his shaman or whoever told him to go through with it. That hey, you'll see like a light side and a dark side, but go toward the dark side, even though if you don't want to. And that I forgot how he put it, but like going towards the dark side, that he kind of faced some kind of demons, and that he
challenged him.
That when he had, there's something he's never like came to accept in life. That like, and now it made him as a better person. Come like when he came back, I was like,
it definitely wasn't like that.
Okay,
I was like, truthfully, I wish I've had like a moment like that. I've had some wild trips, but like more like Dr. Seuss books, like kind of comical, like. Like hills look like over exaggerated hills and they're colorful, kind of like very visual, but never like those types of moments.
I'm with you.
But it was definitely a life-changing moment though. Like, so in terms of like, it directed my life, and I don't know why at that moment in time I had that mental clarity or desire to do that thing. Cause I really hadn't had a desire to like go to college. But that being said, I was always very like studious as a student, like in like high school and middle school. I was always straight A student.
Nerd.
I remember where I was going with the cannabis thing. Like it was always a pivotal point in my life. It was like always a thing I did. But when my parents hated it, hated that I smoked pot. But my like stepmom,
They just agree with it, or
it was illegal was the big thing.
just because it was
illegal.
Don't do this.
Yeah. Well, we lived in North Carolina, so it was like it's to
Which
this
part?
day, Fayetteville, like
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I've never been there, but I know what
It was right outside of Fayetteville. It was Hope Mills. We all called it Hopeless Mills.
But we'll come back to that part. But keep going.
But so I was like, they always hated it. And when I started college, they knew that I like smoked regularly. I had the dreadlocks then. They're like, he's a hippy dippy guy. He's not going to, my family kind of was a little out together. They're like, he's smart, but he's like going to probably waste away his life smoking pot.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to show them wrong. I'm going to prove the stereotype wrong that I can smoke weed every single day of my life in an undergrad, drink and party, and still get graduate with honors. So that's what I did. I was like, I'm going to grow the dreads out, but I'm going to graduate with honors and prove everyone wrong that thinks that I can't live with cannabis in my life regularly because it helps me, because they think I'm going to waste away my life doing this thing that's not bad, right? So that was the whole reason why I like even had the dreadlocks to begin with. It was like almost like a statement against them. It was kind of terrible, honestly, but like
fight the man.
And the man were my parents at that point in time.
Well, still, I mean,
I proved them wrong. I did the thing I said I was going to do, and then I shaved them off, and I still smoke pot every day of my life, though. Honestly, it really, really, really helps me, like grounds me, I feel like it makes me a physically better human being. And that's not to say like I have had periods where I haven't smoked, and I like know that I can function very well without it.
Sure.
But I do prefer my life with it. And I don't know if that's part of that addictive personality that I was talking about. Maybe it's just the addictive part of me that wants
you know what works for you though.
But it does. Like when I don't have it, I don't feel as productive. I don't feel mentally focused. I don't feel mentally clear. Like I feel like I wouldn't say anxious is the right word, but like can never get started on the thing that I want to do for the day, or like, it's like for me, it really, really works. But
Joe Rogan talks about that a lot, that, it makes him paranoid in a sense, but because he's a big weed advocate, but he loves it because when he does smoke it, if he's smoking that, he's afraid of like being a loser or something. So that's what makes him motivated to like start writing his material or like doing whatever he does. Cause like he comes home and he smokes every night. He's like, if I don't do this, I gotta get after it. Like,
that's funny.
Yeah. But, and even like, that's just his, yeah, like that's his thing. Like that's just like, hey, it makes me a better person, I think.
But then like, I've smoked since I was like 13. Damn. Almost every single day. I would say since I was like 14 or 15, I've smoked every single day of my life, pretty much, like to now. And like, since it was such an integral part of my life, like when Virginia made it legal to start growing, I was like,
let's go.
I was like, yeah, I was like, oh, bet. Like I can stop spending money on this thing and like legally do the thing I want to do. I was like, oh, I'm going to do it. And you best bet, like everything else I fucking do in life, I went fucking hard on it. Like, okay, my first like 4 grows weren't great, but man, you should see them now. It's like it. But then I'm also knowing like the product that I'm producing is like devout of pesticides. It's clean. Like I don't have to worry. You hear in the news people smoking like fentanyl laced weed and stuff. I don't have to worry about all those things. I know that I made the thing. I take pride in the product that I produce. It's like, I would say it's higher than top shelf, like stuff you can even get in a dispensary most of the time.
Damn.
And it's like, but it built a passion too. Like it's something that I like, since I was younger, was really, really, really into. And then when I had the opportunity to start doing it, like myself, it was like, wow, I'm not only do I like it, but I'm good at it. Maybe this is something I like want to move my life into more. I have a lot, like, you know what I mean? Like, and that kind of happened at the same time as my like entomology degree, like in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And I had one, it was another, like, I wouldn't say epiphany moments, but I was like, man, I love spending time in the grow room and working on the plants and breeding them. And it's just like, and smoking the product, and I make oil, and I occasionally make edibles for like family members and stuff. And like, I love all aspects of it. Like, why don't I try to transition my life? And what's great is like entomology, like it, obviously, like I said, I do a lot of like agricultural based entomology. So it's like kind of easy to cater my life towards like agricultural management of cannabis or cannabis based research with entomology. And like, it's there. The opportunity's there. I can make my own seed company. Like the opportunity's there. And it's kind of like where I'm leaning towards right now and like trying to decide what to do with my life. But
yeah. Well, I mean, like I don't want to say the sky's the limit, but I think the future is kind of going toward, the world is kind of going towards what's, federally legalized cannabis all around, and just like, hey, let's do something about this.
Everyone's realizing like, oh shoot, it actually isn't like really a gateway drug. It's not.
Who was it? Who invented? I forgot the guy's name, but there was something, and you might know the backstory to this, but I can't remember his name now. Just talking, I need to look it up. But when they were talking about like hemp.
Like why cannabis is federally illegal and stuff.
So like, but it was like a guy back in like the Rockefeller days.
Yeah.
And he was just like, no, hemp is going to hurt the paper industry maybe.
Yeah. No, you're 100%
okay,
correct. I also cannot remember the names, but I attended a talk on this in my undergrad actually. Okay. From someone very prominent in like
keep talking, I'm gonna look it up.
Advocate scene of cannabis. But like, no, you're 100% right. It was like they were afraid that the hemp industry would single-handedly like destroy the lumber industry.
Okay.
And the need for like cellulose, which is for paper, wood, other construction materials. So it was a big like almost propaganda thing, kind of making cannabis out to be, and then
like it's a bad thing.
And then it ended up targeting minority groups and whatnot. But by targeting minority groups, they painted it as the bad guy, which is obviously like not like ethically correct. But that was the like, the marketing scheme at the time. And that's why we're so reliant on lumber as our like cellulose source and our like wood source and stuff. And even now when you look at like agricultural cannabis, so like not grown for consumer use stuff. So hemp production in the United States, when like the production of hemp was made legal, I think 3 years ago, maybe. A lot of states, like a lot of farmers, a lot of smaller farmers and stuff are like, I'm going to jump on this bandwagon. We're going to make so much money. And what ended up happening was that like, there's not enough facilities to process it into hemp, into the materials that we seek, the fibers, and you can make clothing out of it. You can make paper, etc. Like hundreds of things you can make out of it, but we don't have the processing plants in the United States to actually do that. So after that, like first year or two, when growers were like, we can't actually keep growing hemp and make money, it stopped. And it's because of that like paper industry thing. And it's still going today. Yeah. Like the ramifications of that are still like happening. Like cannabis or particularly hemp will not likely overpass like the lumber industry until we're at a point where it has to, because we don't have the processing facilities, because it's still so politically like charged. Yeah. And it's like, which is terrible because I wouldn't say it's a miracle crop, because there's definitely drawbacks to doing it agriculturally, growing hemp agriculturally.
What are some of those drawbacks?
It's very taxing on land, very, very land taxing. So nutrient wise, it drains the soil. You have to have very good crop management practices or use synthetic fertilizers, which like
just to grow the.
It's a very nutrient hungry crop.
I wasn't aware of that.
And like I said, it requires refineries to finally process the product. Even if you're going to produce like CBD stuff or like stuff that's being made into like Delta 8 oils and stuff like that, it's got to be processed. So there has to be somewhere to process it, right? And if there aren't facilities to do it, then you can't sell your product, essentially, right?
I agree.
So the industry is kind of, in that regard, not going to really thrive. But I don't really even know where I was going with that. But
well, no, because we're so. I mean, well, I'm wondering into what you just said though, that there used to be a statistic, that talking about how it's so nutrient rich, like it's kind of affecting the soil, but with other crops that are being grown throughout, I guess, the world, that somebody, Rob Wolf, in his book, I can't remember what the name of his fucking book is now. Meat something. It's like a couple years old now. But anyway, he said something like, there's only like 60 years left worth of actually growing crops anyway, based on the Earth's soil.
Yeah, not even the Earth's soil, but like if you're using synthetic fertilizers, like where are you getting that nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium? They're going to be mined from something or harvested from something, processed into fertilizers, and then spread out. But like once those operations collapse, which they already are starting to collapse. The need for fertilizers has increased every year. Like I'm kind of throwing out these statistics.
That's good. Yeah, man. That's better than I do, man. Because throw it out there, bro.
I mean, like you should probably
Google it.
Yeah.
Chat GPT it.
Yeah. Don't take my word 100%. Like I'm not going to quote a paper or anything. I'm just throwing out random statistics.
I talk out of my ass a lot on here. Yeah, so that's fine, man. But usually I try to get a ballpark. I don't make shit up. But
generally, it's a true statement that
exactly
we're using more fertilizers than we're going to be able to produce in long term use. And with human population rising, with the need for food rising, with the need for fertilizer rising, like how sustainable really is that, right? And that's kind of the question with cannabis. It's a very nutrient hungry crop, and while like its cellulose level is really, really high, like how sustainable really is it as like a crop to produce over arable land? Like a lot of Midwest states, like the only way they can produce like soybeans and whatnot is with fertilizer, corn and stuff. You have to use fertilizers, otherwise you're not producing much. But we're so reliant on these things that it like will inevitably snowball and collapse. And I think my point is like, okay, yeah, the cannabis industry is probably not going to thrive in the United States, and that's probably for the better in a way, maybe. Like
interesting, good take.
Because
interesting take.
Like truthfully, like with proper forest management, a lot of I mean, that's a controversial statement too. With proper forest management, a lot of lumber supplies can be managed well. And that pisses off ecologists and other people. But like in the end of the day, we are probably trying to sustain the human race above anything else, right? So it's like kind of got to do what's in. I don't know. That's a rabbit hole, and
that's another podcast.
Right there, yeah.
Jinx. Huh? Interesting, man.
But could I get some ice?
Yeah. Keep talking like while we do this or something. Like, yeah, hold on.
Yeah, fair enough, man. So you said you have smoked then?
Yeah. So I don't know what you want. Well, there you go. Yeah. So I haven't smoked in the last few years, but a lot of good friends do it, and like that was another question I was going to ask you something about. What's this like compared to alcohol versus weed? Like, you know, what's your vice?
Oh, definitely weed.
And
definitely weed.
And for me, it's the same thing. Just because of all right. So like last weekend, I went to Wilmington with all my friends from college or whatever. Like one of my buddies moved down there. Shout out Josh. What up, bro? But Sunday, and it was our own fault. We were doing oyster shots. We were just drinking. We were just acting like we were in college again, right? You ever done an oyster shot?
What is an oyster shot?
So it depends on who.
Hold on, pause and look.
Okay, so it depends on who makes it, but apparently they're always near the beach, obviously.
Yeah.
So we did a couple, about 2 or 3 of them. Plus, we did Fireball too, bro. Well, I mean, how college is that?
It was a long night.
A long day. It was like we were day drinking, man. And like I remember even saying, I'll go back to the oyster shop, but I remember saying like, when was the last time we all day drink together? Like we literally like went to lunch and we all started ordering beers because we were all together.
Good dage.
Yeah. It's like one of those. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but like you go back to the hometown you grew up in, and that you mentally kind of go back to where you were or whatever.
It's impossible to not. Yeah.
So, but anyway, so an oyster shot, depending on who's making it, but I don't remember the bar name that we were at. And shout out Wilmington, but they were. It was like they did like a version of hot sauce, ground pepper. And I think one of them they had like 4 different ones, and it was like Jose and then a little bit of vodka in it too at the same time, and plus an oyster.
Kind of like plus an oyster.
So they put an oyster in it.
Fucking disgusting.
So if you like oysters, it's great, but if you don't like oysters, then you probably should not.
No, I don't do seafood very well.
Okay,
I would vomit.
But that's usually
everywhere.
Some of them are literally just hot sauce and either tequila or vodka, and then maybe a little pepper. But some people like to dress them up.
So it's like a different style of like Bloody Mary.
Oh man, yeah. Let's put an oyster in it.
Yeah,
That's basically what it is, man.
Oh, it's disgusting.
So I don't know where I was going with that part, but yeah. Wait, oh yeah, weed versus alcohol. So yeah, so Sunday driving back, like just being that hungover. And luckily I didn't drive, so I met my buddy in Charlotte and then we drove out towards Wilmington, and which was great. We had a couple drinks that Friday night when I got there.
Mhm.
It was cool. It was just chilling.
Nothing crazy.
Like we watched Murder Mystery 2 on Netflix.
Yeah, nothing crazy. Good chill night.
Yeah, we're just chilling. Chilling. And he's a big weed fan. But yeah. I guess I don't know where I was going with my point now. But anyway, going back towards Sunday, I was so hungover, just and he's like, can we wait an hour before we leave? And I was like, dude, you wait as long as you want.
You're like, I need a little nap.
Yeah, man. Here, I'm gonna go curl up, take a shower, and I'm gonna lay down. He's like, all right, sounds good to me. And so we finally we started riding back, and I just remember just riding back and just the whole time I'm just like the typical have sunglasses on and have a water and a Gatorade.
Let this be over.
Yeah, and it's like how much longer do we get there? And he's like, well, it's 3 hours from Wilmington to Charlotte. And I was like, fuck, I gotta drive back here to Radford. And so yeah, it was just that typical thing. But so long story short though, it's never had that from the smoking. It's for me when I smoke, it's just say you were talking about having stress or something a little bit earlier and just being kind of maybe I was thinking about that being tense, but just when I smoke,
yeah, that slouch you just did. Yeah, it explains it all.
That's me when I do it. And I don't have the paranoidness or paranoidness. Is that a word? I'm not paranoid. Paranoia.
Yeah.
Last time I did it was at one of my buddies' bachelor party in Bristol. And I had my own hotel room and I guess I can talk about this on here. I don't think it's going to get me in trouble because it was years ago.
Yeah.
So anyway,
what are they going to do?
So did it there, and I remember just going up to my hotel room, and we went to the bars that night, had a few drinks. So we didn't get shots all night or whatever. And just I remember smoking at the end of the night. That was kind of our nightcap. And I just remember going to watch. I think I've turned on the TV in the hotel room and I watched Happy Gilmore was on. And I just remember just instantly just being the biggest smile came on my face, and just I was so relaxed.
Pure relaxation.
Yeah, this is R&R at its finest right now. And just knowing that, hey, when I wake up tomorrow, I'm not going to be hating life.
Yeah, dude. It's funny you said that about your hangover last week. I also last week overindulged a little bit.
Okay,
and
too much sweet tea.
Totally missed the gym on Saturday, and dude, I slept till 6 p.m. It was one of those hangovers.
Whoa!
But it was one of those I had a moment. I was like, man, why did I do that? I could have just smoked a couple of joints and gone to the gym, done my normal day.
Dude.
It was one of those I wouldn't say I was back. I wouldn't say I was back at home, but it was one of those home moments. It was I kind of reverted to this stage.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you got to have it, get it out of your system, right? Otherwise, you're gonna probably not freak out, but you got to get it out of you every now and then, right? And that's okay. Indulging like that, I think, is okay.
I agree. It's fun every once in a while, but you hate your life at the same time. But it's fun. All right, nothing bad happened. We're all good. Yeah. That morning sucked AF is AF or whatever you want to say, what the cool kids say. But, you had a great time, right?
It happened.
You with your friends, you with your buddies.
But then at the end of it, man, I was I should just stick to smoking weed. I was oh, man, this is...
Why do we why do we do this?
I was oh, why?
Yeah, it's hey, it's that stupid, all those stupid memes, I'm never drinking again. Then the next night, what time's happy hour?
I was 2 weeks ago, I was at a conference networking with some industry people, and when you go out with the industry people, they slap down the American Express card and everything's paid for, so it's I'm getting steak, I'm getting Johnny Walker, what's your highest price whiskey, I'm getting that. And long story short, it was hours into the night, the bar closed, he convinced the bartender to give us more shots. I had the wickedest hangover the next day. But the only reason
baby. You used the word wicked.
Wicked, man. The only reason
I heard that in a while.
Had that the only reason I drank that much was because I was trying to network. And I was
I get it, man.
I was this is disgusting though. I'm why am I doing this to myself to try to get a job?
That's how you get in. That's the social norm, right?
It's terrible that it is the social norm, but it was I can hang, but man, I had a train ride. It was a about 22-hour train ride from
You told me about
from
this.
Vermont to back to Blacksburg. Man, oh my God, I was dying the entire way. And I don't know if you've ever traveled by train like long distance. It's cool if you're not hungover.
There's a lot of things that are cool if you're not hungover.
I was sitting there.
Just riding in a car is cool if you're not hungover.
It's better than a car because at least I didn't have to drive at some
That's
point.
a good point.
I sat there and like kind of slept the entire way, but it was so long. Like, and we could have done the drive in like 12 hours, 14 hours, but that, that's if you don't hit traffic. It was one of those life moments where I'm like, I'm trying to better myself, but that was a terrible life decision. Like, why did I do that? I ended up smoking with the guy though too that night because Vermont, it was Rhode Island, not Vermont. It was Rhode Island, but Rhode Island's a legal state too. So when I got there, I like got off the train, immediately went to a dispo and like picked up a couple of like rolled joints and whatnot, just for my time there.
Sure.
I didn't expect to like smoke with any networking people, but this guy was a little younger and like we started talking and someone mentioned that I grew cannabis and he was like, you grow cannabis? And like one thing led to another. Me and this dude from industry were just like showing each other pictures of our plants and then we were smoking and drinking more. And it was like, okay, I think he offered me a job. So like,
okay, that's a win.
Like, which was kind of funny because it was like, can you do this thing? And I was like, well, I don't have experience in that, but I can learn it. And he's like, that's the right answer.
Hell yeah.
He's like, that's what I want to hear. You don't need to be able to say yes to everything, but can you learn it? That's the question. And that's like a PhD thing or a grad school thing, I think, is like, I've been trained how to access information, how to retain it, and how to like learn it and apply it in the real world. And I think that's a skill that a lot of people don't have. It's like someone like might be offered a job. It's like, can you do this thing? And if they reply no, that's it. There is no, I can like learn it. They're just like, I can't do the thing.
Yeah. That's
the difference between greatness and success right there. It's like, I can't do it right now. Give me a month or two. I got you. Like, and that was the reply to him. Like like it was a job offer in Texas for like $90K a year. Right out of the PhD, a pretty cushy job. I'm probably going to turn it down. It's not like I don't want to live in Texas. It's not against anyone in Texas. It's just, that's not for me. But like the job wasn't for me either, but the offer was there. So like the networking worked and it's another resource to use. And like, as much as I hate it, the drinking paid off. So sometimes there's benefits to it and sometimes there's not. Like if I was still on that like sober track of life, like that would not have been offered to me. Like that job offer wouldn't have been offered. Like, and that's kind of like a staggering thing, which sucks that like alcohol is so associated with like getting in sometimes. Like it's not what you know, it's who you know and how well you can learn things. But that applies to every job. And anyone that says that it doesn't apply is full of themselves,
Hey. I agree.
So it's like, I don't know. It was awakening, but it was also one of those moments where I was like, man, I feel shitty about myself for what I just had to like do, but whatever, it's bettering myself, right?
Nah. Well, I think it's a good way to take this podcast home right there, dude. We've been talking for like a little over an hour and I can only upload so much, but difference between greatness and success. And so let's do a real quick. I've been like asking some other guests when they do the podcast with me, like, I've been called like a new segment. You want to do it with me? Like random questions with Chris. Which obviously we talked about this before.
Random questions with Chris.
Yeah, but which is just from this
That's
card game.
That's kind of hard to say actually. Like
random questions with Chris.
It's a little tongue twister.
Yeah. So anyway,
you want to say quiz. Like, random questions with quiz.
But we don't have to go into a full deep convo with these, but just real quick, just for the audience to kind of get you know you a little bit better.
Yeah, sure.
And me a little bit better too.
I'm down.
At the same time. Okay, quick shuffle here. Pull them off top. We got the first one. What superhero would you most want to see naked?
Naked.
Well, that's a way to come out hot, baby.
Yeah, that is.
I know my first answer.
That quickly?
Yeah.
What is it?
Black Widow.
Ooh.
What's her name? Now I can't remember. Stephanie? Johnson.
She's like one of the most paid actors out there.
Bro, how dumb are we?
Well, why can't I think of it?
Sarah. It's like an S and a J, right?
Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah,
it was an S and a J. You were totally on it. Wow, that's an answer right there. That's probably takes the cake right there.
I got a second one too.
Pull a second
No,
card
no,
because
no,
that's
but I got a second one. I wanna
Oh
see
man,
too.
who would mine? Who was your second?
Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman.
Oh, well now you've taken the two best choices. Now what do I
No,
even pick?
I got a third one. They're hitting me now.
What's the third one?
Scarlet Witch, which I don't remember. I can't tell you her name though. The new Scarlet Witch.
No, I don't even know. I don't even know who I would pick. Honestly, I'm like, well, first of all, you pick the two best.
You think those are two best though? I was hoping like you could.
I think Black Widow was probably the best bet.
Oh, but
Scarlett
like Johansson, bro. Wanda Maximoff.
Maybe Catwoman, man.
Like Michelle Pfeiffer or
Oh,
Halle Berry or
I was thinking Halle Berry at
who
first.
was the other one in Dark Knight series?
Oh,
Anna
Hathaway. Yeah, that's probably my number one. But I was first thinking not Scarlett Johansson. Halle Berry was my first choice. I forgot about the Dark Knight Rising series.
Oh, Halle Berry's A1.
Yeah, that's honestly probably what I would pick.
I remember watching her in Monsters. Was it Monsters Ball?
I think so.
She has a sex scene with who's the old guy?
Dude, it's been
Billy Bob Thornton.
It's been a while since I've seen that movie, man.
I remember that's one. Like I don't know how old that movie is. Like, I don't want to Google it, but I just remember just watching. It's like, it's like almost like a soft porn kind of thing.
A little bit.
And like I was pretty young too, and I was like, yeah.
I remember my mom got
Hallie.
pissed that my dad showed me that. So well, it was one of those.
So Scarlett and
Halle Berry.
Halle Berry.
We'll just put her on the top. Yeah.
Halle's man, she's and even in the latest John Wick, she was badass too. I don't know what she's been in her most recent film was, but she's always been A1 though.
Oh yeah, top tier.
God, who's other superheroes? I can't even think. Captain Marvel. Actually, when you say superhero, though, I mean, like Halle Berry, is she considered a villain?
It's a fine line. Like, what do you consider Batman? He's more of a vigilante, but also a villain in certain. It depends on your lens, right? That's a loaded question.
I concur now. Now that you think about it, but well, there's still a hero. Well, is Batman like you just said? Is Batman a hero?
It's a loaded question. Yeah, it depends on your perspective, right?
Okay. Well, all right. We named two though.
Yeah.
So Scarlett Johansson, if you're listening. All right. So here we go. Next one. What's the most trouble you've ever gotten yourself into?
My drunken public was probably the most public or the most trouble. Now, I've had some really close calls when I was younger, like a lot of brushes of running away from cops.
Okay.
That probably weren't necessary. At one time, man, I was at like a resort with my one buddy, like in Florida. We're smoking and got caught. So for some reason, we decided to jump into like a golf cart. And I swear we didn't hotwire it or anything. It just like it worked. There's no key in it. It just turned on and worked. And he drove. My buddy drove, and then the battery died on it, so like it stopped moving. And I took out running. So did he. And like he got grabbed, and I ran into the like one building, and I realized like, oh, my buddy got grabbed. Like I either have this moment where I can turn around and like turn myself in, or I can like try to get away. And I thought to myself, like in that split second, I was like, I'm gonna turn myself in because I think if I run away, it's gonna make shit way worse. Turns out though, well, first of all, he was the fastest security guard I've ever seen in my motherfucking life.
That was
like
lightning.
the dude was running faster than the golf cart. Like literally had an arm on it. Like
dude.
And like I took out of there, and luckily I was on the opposite side of the golf cart. That's how my buddy got grabbed. He was on the side the guy was on. Like the dude was like put way too much into being a security guard. Go him. Probably CrossFitter. But like him and my buddy and I, because we were underage, they like were trying to threaten us with you could like get in real trouble for like Grand Theft Auto and stuff like that. But we were underage, so the hotel manager was like, okay, you guys are checking out in like a day or two. You two are under hotel like restriction. We couldn't leave the room, essentially, me and him. Like for the last like 2 days there, we couldn't leave the room. So that was like another close call and a lot of running from making bad decisions.
Okay.
So I've had my fair share of
Dude,
that.
just an outlaw,
But
man.
the most being caught was the underage, which wasn't even my fault. I wasn't even driving.
You were
the car.
underage and drunk in public?
No, it was just a drunk in public.
Oh, okay.
Not underage. It was not underage, but it was drunk in public. But it was like the driver got charged for a DUI, which obviously is bad. Shouldn't have been driving. Yada yada yada. Like, got it. Slapped me on the wrist some more.
Sure.
I don't remember the decision. It was a terrible decision, but I woke up with like a flashlight in my like face. Like it was like, yeah, I got caught, but you know, it is what it is.
No.
Most trouble for sure.
Well, short answer, my drunk in public, and that was in college.
I wish mine was in college. That would look well. It was in college. It was in college. Yeah.
Okay. Let's do one or two more, and
Fair enough.
We'll
man.
call it a night. What is a horrible catchphrase from back in the day?
Back in the day, whippersnapper. It pissed me off if someone if someone I knew called me whippersnapper, I'd be like,
Like
why
sport or
buddy. Like I'm only like my best friends will allow me to call me buddy or pal. Sport is another good one. It's like
Slick. What's up, Slick?
it's like such I wouldn't say derogatory, but it's like looking down on me. It's like
I don't know if this is a catchphrase, but I've always been like,
I guess it's not a catchphrase.
Well, when people say like, I know, right? Like, yeah, I know.
I guess, yeah.
Like I'm like, I got it. Like, I don't know. For some reason, that just like, yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I know. Like
back in the day, I'm only 26, so
yeah. So what? But a catchphrase. So is it like what does Fonzie do? Like, hey, is that a catchphrase?
Yeah. I mean, we associated it with him, so it's a
Yeah.
catchphrase. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's your signature
Yeah,
move,
that
so
was
to
like a
speak,
thing.
right? Like The Rock, like if you smell what The Rock is cooking. Like I remember always hearing that when I was
Time to
little.
get the people's elbow.
Yeah, like stuff like that. But I mean, like I like The Rock. But
horrible catchphrase. That's the key word there is horrible.
Yeah, like
right?
I don't think it's horrible.
So I hate being called buddy, but I can't say anyone that like says that specifically, you know. What's a
Horrible catchphrase.
I don't have one off the top of my head, honestly. New card.
Yeah, like catchphrase.
We said catchphrases we don't like. So I
Okay.
think that covers it.
Yeah, I concur.
or-
I concur. Oh, this is good. What's the first concert you ever saw?
Lincoln Park.
Same.
No way.
Yeah, bro.
That's fucking wild.
Greensboro Coliseum. They were
Oh,
like Story
man.
of the Year, Hoobastank, Lincoln Park, and fuck, who was fourth? There's four.
Mine was in Tennessee. It was Coed in Cambria and Lincoln Park.
I like Coheed,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. It was my. So it was actually a good experience. It was like I was in 6th grade. I had just gotten in like a fight at school, and I was suspended from school, and it wasn't my fault. Like a bully was picking on me, and I fought back. But reciprocity, we both got suspended. Like he got more in trouble, but I also got suspended for like I threw my shoe at him. Actually, I, like, got pissed.
Okay, gangster.
He pushed me down, and I like took my shoe off and threw it. It was like a 6th grade thing. It was terrible. I like look back on this, I'm so embarrassed. But like, my mom was like, "You didn't do the wrong thing. You stood up for yourself. But like, you know, I'm not rewarding you, but I think that like you shouldn't have been punished." So she like took me to a Linkin Park concert. We went out, got dinner, went to the concert, and then like it was in what's the fucking capital of Tennessee? Nashville. It was in Nashville, and it's I wouldn't say it's rare, but snow doesn't happen very often.
I would agree.
There, like we were in Clarksville, which is right on the border of Kentucky and Tennessee, and so we went to the concert. It was like one of the best moments of my life. I remember like. I was like singing and like going so hard that one of the guys like behind me was like he like mentioned to my mom. He was like, "Man, your son is going like hard," and I was like, "Yeah, I'm a rocker, bro." Like 11 years old, you know, and it ended up being a snow day like the next day, kind of a thing. So it was just like even if I had school, it would have been canceled, and then it ended up lasting until I was even like suspension was over. So it like turned out to be like I stood up for myself. got to go to my first concert, which was my favorite band,
Okay,
and then
good
had
time.
like off on school too. So it was just perfect.
That would have been 2000 or 2003. I think for me when I first saw him.
Oof, mine would
I
have been
bet you I
like
still have a ticket back there, too.
6th grades. That's
Because I was in high school.
6, 7 plus 4. Mine was 11 or 12 years ago. So it would have been like I thought 2011 would be like 2011 or 2010 would be like when I went to see them.
But I remember Who Was Snake Story of the Year, Lincoln Park, and there was one more who opened for him. It wasn't Hawthorne Heights, but that sounds right.
It sounds kind of like something that would make sense though. I mean, like
I'll have to look it up now.
like RAB to Chester Bennington, I had tickets to his last concert. Like it was with Green. It was either with Green Day or Blink 182. It was Blink 182. It was Blink 182 and Lincoln Park were doing concerts, and I had tickets to like the Hershey venue in Pennsylvania, and then Chester Bennington unfortunately like committed suicide, so it was like really stuck. But I did have tickets to his last concert too, so it was like my first concert was to see them, and then I like had tickets to like what would have been like his last concert too. So like it's a little bit of chills.
Yeah, little goosebumps.
Yeah, it was a
Blink's coming to Charlotte in July.
fucking Blink, man.
I've never seen it, but we all talked about it because I've never seen it. I was like, let's do it, man. Let's go.
They were better with the original band.
I guarantee it.
Yeah. Wait, are they back together?
So, Matt, did Matt have
Mark
Mark have
Hoppus?
cancer? Did he have cancer or something? Or
I think so. Yeah, something
so
like that.
is he
happened.
back?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I'm not going to Google it, but I know he had cancer, so I don't know who's traveling though.
Yeah, they were better original, but they were back original for a
I feel
little
like
bit.
Travis
and
Parker's still there.
Yeah.
But Matt's the one. But you say Mark. Mark is the one. I'm not sure.
Mark Hoppus. Yeah.
Who's the other guy now? I can't remember. Travis? No, Travis Parker. I already said the alien guy. He's always about aliens now.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Like, I thought we met.
Where are you?
Yeah, exactly.
What's his name? People are probably shouting right now. All right. Anyway, that's neither here nor there now. All right. Shot in the card, and we'll call it a night.
Shot in a card, man.
All right. Here we go.
Cheers.
Thanks for being with us, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. All right. Last card, everyone. Hope you enjoyed everything. Do you want to give out your information or anything? That's kind of
I don't really have information.
That's usually what I ask people, but because I feel like that's the
email address.
Yeah, I don't know if I do that.
Yeah,
but like some people are like, hey, I'll give out here's my Instagram, here's my Twitter.
If I had one, I would. I've got one picture on my Instagram, so it's like,
I bet it's hot.
it's pretty attractive.
All right,
Get
All
some people
right.
going.
So last shot in the card. Here we go. What's the best cookie?
White chip macadamia nut. Hands down.
White chip.
Yeah, white chip, like so white chocolate chips, like
White-
the white chocolate chips.
Ah.
Macadamia nut is the best.
Macadamia nut.
Yeah,
But with white
with
chocolate.
white chocolate chips instead of like black chocolate
I've
or
never
like
had that.
chocolate
I've
chip.
never heard of it.
Oh, dude, they sell it at Subway. It's like
I
It's
know
my-
macadamia nut.
it's my go-to cookie. That being said, though, I'm a sucker for those like sugar cookies from like Walmart and like that are like with the basic ass icing. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the ones you used to get in school and stuff. I'm a sucker for those. What about you?
I like the macadamia nut, but I've never been a big cookie guy. You know, like, yeah, I don't know. Cookies are not usually my thing, but
yeah, you're
I do like
stumbling.
macadamia nuts, I guess, but I've never like white chocolate chip macadamia nut.
Yeah,
Like,
white chocolate chip.
that sounds pretty
I'm
good.
proud. People are probably yelling at me like it's not real chocolate.
I've used to
but-
I used to be like, the regular Chips Ahoy, give me a chocolate jam, like cool. Oreos are always good too, I guess.
Is that even a?
Is that a cookie? What is an
More
Oreo?
of like a wafer, right? It's
Nah,
like-
you're a wafer. What is? I mean, I get. What is a cookie?
I don't know. Some kind of dough.
So it's got to be made by dough.
Doughy material. What is the definition of a cookie? What makes a cookie
a cookie?
makes a cookie a cookie?
Because all right, I would agree with that. Because most cookies, like chocolate chip, and besides I guess chips are always the same way. They got to be made in some fashion by
Baked
dough
and
and
dough
like
and then
baked.
baked, right? And
But-
think
but
there's
I
probably
mean,
a
I don't-
prerequisites there.
I don't know how Oreos are made though.
It's probably some kind of dough and it's baked.
I do know. one of my family get-togethers. Okay, somebody would put a Hershey Kiss into like cookie dough.
Oh, the Christmas cookie.
Yeah, those are pretty good.
You get them a little warm where the Hershey
Yeah,
Kiss.
those are pretty
or
good.
like peanut butter ones with
Yeah,
the. Okay.
I fuck with that.
That's my new number one.
I fuck with
followed
that.
by white chocolate.
I do
chip
fuck with
macadamia
that.
nut. So you found your cookie.
Okay, I found a cookie. All right. Is there any other good cards here? Just real quick. Cards. What's a horrible catchphrase? Oh, these are ones that I said. If you could only eat one type of food for a month, what would it be?
Pizza.
Oh, impressive.
Pizza right off the
I
bat.
do like pizza.
I eat chicken and broccoli and rice every single day of my life. I'll eat pizza for a month.
Yeah, fuck eating healthy, man.
There's so many different kinds of pizza too. Like you don't have to get just cheese. You can get pepperoni. You can get like chicken pizzas. You can get like white sauce pizzas. You can do it healthy-ish.
All right. Take it home, Jason. We've been talking too much here.
We have been.
Thanks, man.
Cheers, man.
All right. Good night, everybody.